Welcome back to the Table Rush Talk Show, where we dive deep into the world of entrepreneurship, marketing, and personal growth. I'm your host, Misha Zvagazov. Today's guest, Kenny Ridgell, brings a scientist's mind to marketing, turning data into dollars through smart, measurable strategy. As founder of Ridge Media, he helps brands cut through the noise using evidence based experiments that drive real results. Kenneth,
How you doing, my man?
good morning. You made it. You never know. You never know with this podcasting business if people are always going to show, but here you are.
Oh,
Well
good.
done.
Good. I had to re-download the Zoom update. Nothing more fun than that.
Right? You're like, oh man, I it's been one of those weeks where tech just blew me to bits where there was an update and on Descript, whatever, video editing software, and it just my whole workflow was blown up. And I'm like, why did you do that update? And then, the SOPs are wrong. And I was like, this is insane. And then another system software that I use that I was like, what?
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, can we not catch a break here? Like we've been really, really trying just to push things together. I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, like we decided for some reason to switch over on our CRM. It's also been a nightmare. You're like, this seems like it should be very simple just to like migrate some people's emails from one funnel to the other, but that is not. And you buckle up. Big decision.
So funny. Oh my gosh. What CRM from what CRM to what?
We went from Pipe Drive to, and we're going to Go High Level.
All right.
And we've used
Um,
Go High Level for clients before, but most clients we've set it up with are transferring from Salesforce. I've never done the Pipe Drive over, and Salesforce to there seems to be a little bit easier with integration. But moving the Pipe Drive over has not been as easy as I would expect it.
int-
And Go High Level is supposed to be like the 800-pound gorilla. Like, we have the sales support team, we have the onboarding people, we'll help you. I mean, it's fun. We're fighting uphill with bare feet.
wow. That's so interesting. Yeah, because that is definitely the way Go High Level is presenting themselves these days, and they're definitely getting massive traction in the market right now too. That's another thing it seems.
It saves you a ton of money. That was like my reason for going. I mean, we can do all of our email marketing, we can do all of our social scheduling, we can pretty much do all of our onboarding. It gives you like a one-stop shop, the call tracking, the call recording, the reporting, the analytics, the dashboard. I mean, basically, it takes like 20 programs we're using and puts it into one spot. And I'm like, well, you can't really beat that.
Cannot beat that. So, and then you're an agency. So, do you have the agency subscription, or what do we call it? Is that what it's called? The agency subscription? Yeah.
Agency subscription, then we can be a reseller of the software. So we pay like $600 one time, and I can name my price. So I gotta be like, oh, I'll sell it to you for 297 or 97, or I'll sell it to you for 597. Whatever you wanted to price it at, you're allowed to price it at.
That's
Which is
cool. So, is that per user that you add? It's a one time $600 fee.
no, per month. So you can
Oh,
sign
per
them up
month.
all like, so basically they would be paying if you were quoted out, as like just a commoner who went to their website, you would see 297. So they recommend just pricing it at the same rate that those people could buy it themselves.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, but by us paying the big agency fee of 597 one time per month, we pay 597. We could resell it as many times as we want as sub accounts.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the whole point is like, if you get 3, 4, 5 clients on there, you start making money, bro, a month. And then you make money on all the calls that come in by the minute, make money on all the emails that go out, you make money on all the text messages. And it's only like a fraction of a penny, but historically you're not touching any of that profit, right? You're just paying Constant Contact or MailChimp or whoever paying call rail to do all your call recording. You're making
Yeah.
like money per minute. Whereas now it turns around the funnel and we're getting a split on that. So we get wholesale pricing and then we mark it up to retail. Technically it's 10% less than what the customer would pay on an open platform. They're still getting a good deal, but we make the money in the middle. So it's compounding, right? Like it's like short term, you might not make him a lot of money, but if you can get 10 customers on there that are sending out 5,000 emails a month, it just slowly it's money you weren't making before too. It just basically becomes a revenue center you didn't have.
And if it's functional and works, I mean, once you have you are already using it. It sounds like you already had the Go High Level agencies so you could resell it. And now you're like, all right, we want to take advantage of all the functionalities.
Yeah, we're like, we need to put ourselves on there. We're like, we're running it for clients, but we've never like. Sometimes like it's like the what do they say? The cobbler's son has no shoes. You know, it's kind of like the same idea. The agencies are typically the worst at marketing themselves. Like we do a great job marketing our clients. Marketing us, we don't really do that.
Yeah. And then so let me ask you what is are you getting the full revenue from the people you sign up? So you sign up somebody for 297 a month and Go High Level's not taking any of that.
No cut. Yeah, you make the full 2 night.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. You can get 10 customers, you make $3,000 a month just profit by having them on a platform you do nothing with.
That's why you know who ClickFunnels is, of course.
Yeah.
That's why Go High Level is just taking over, and all the big ClickFunnels affiliate, the big ClickFunnel affiliate account drivers, driving those, they're all going to Go High Level because they get the full revenue, right? Oh my God.
I know that people are like, they're like, oh yeah, we can go spam. I mean, a lot of people have hundreds of people signed up on. Yeah, it's nuts. The whole game's like basically pivoting to Go High Level. I wish
Yeah.
you could buy stock in it. I would.
Right? Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, so when did you start signing people up as an agency on to Go High Level?
Like not even like 6 to 10 months ago. In the last year, we started switching people over. Yeah, we'd heard of it, and actually, randomly, one of our clients basically forced us. He found out about himself, signed himself up, and then he was like, "It's gotten to be too much. I need you to manage this platform." And we're like, I've never really spent a lot of time on there." He's like, "I'll pay you to figure it out. I don't have the time." So we were more or less forced to learn by a client being like, "Here, take this over." And then the more we got into it, the more we learned. I'm like, wow, this is actually a huge opportunity. We should probably sell this to other customers. And then, you just started implementing it into your little pitch because you're like, basically, you can do this with this platform and it has this capability. And then people are like, oh, well, I want to do that. And the next thing you know, you're like, well, okay, without trying, we've picked up accounts. We should probably try.
First off, this I love this part of the conversation. You don't mind if I put it into the podcast episode, do you?
Oh, you're fine.
Okay, good, good. Because I just want to keep rolling with it for a minute. So what was I going to say next was, so what were you doing before? How were you managing people's accounts? Where were you putting them? ClickFunnels or something like that? Or what
I
were you
would say
doing?
we've been pretty flexible. Like we've never been really one of those agencies that comes in and is like, hey, you need to come onto our system. It's more or less like what systems you'll have in place. A lot of times it's been like your big four of like Constant Contact, Salesforce, any of those like big, you name them, we started a MailChimp, whatever. And we basically kind of hopped in, worked on those. And then throughout time, we realized, okay, well, maybe there is like a fine line of like when you need to stop being a new software adapter because, say I pick up you as a customer and you're like, well, I have this new one called X, Y, or Z. And you're like, great. Now we get to go watch new videos and become like a certified partner of HubSpot or whatever. And at the end of the day, we have like certifications on 5 or 6 of these. And we've always been pretty loosey goosey in terms of like, we'll just work on your systems. And now it's like, okay, well, there's definitely a time and place of like, if you were to just streamline this, put them onto one, because of course, after you trust, you try to flip people, like, okay,
Yeah.
hey, I'm not sure that Salesforce is the best for the agency that you have, given that you have one sales rep and you're spending whatever on Salesforce. Might be a bit aggressive. Whereas somebody else might be using like Excel spreadsheet, 25 sales reps. And you're like, we should get you on a Salesforce. It's,
Oh my gosh.
we've kind of always been like more like less of a SaaS company and more of like a hired gun. Hey, put us on your software. We'll figure it out. We'll help you out. We'll be a team player. Let's make this thing work. We're not going to try and force you to change your whole software integration. Because a lot of times if you pitch yourself that way, it's a more difficult pitch, right? You come in, you're like, hey, we don't like whatever software you're using. We need to re-implement you and onboard you to a whole new platform. Sometimes that can be a bit of like that's a scary thought for these owners.
Yeah.
As I'm enduring myself.
Yeah. Are you utilizing the funnel functionality, or do you even know the term funnel? I'm assuming
Yeah,
you do, but
absolutely. Yeah, we've used ClickFunnels. We've used all these different types of platforms. I mean, in sense, right now we're using programmatic, kind of pair with Google Ads. So we're more or less creating our own funnel by just like sharing across platforms without having to like actually put in a full ClickFunnel path. When I started the agency, I did a full ClickFunnel certification, a mastermind course. I don't know if you ever heard Kat Howell took one of her agency classes. It's like a $10,000 class. It was a big like lump of learning that occurred in the very beginning. And then once you like kind of learn how ClickFunnels is, you realize you really don't have to use their model to go through with it. You just, in principle, have to do this like brand awareness campaign. Watch you interact, who watches the full video, serve them a secondary ad. Watch who watches that one thoroughly through, or like converts or moves to your website, and now retarget those people. So you can kind of push them through a funnel without actually having to pay all the fees of a ClickFunnel. So you can kind of create your own like data sharing like audience situation where we might use StackAdapt to do programmatic ad buying, might use Google Ads, we might use Facebook, but all of them are technically sharing the same data across the funnel.
That is awesome. In 3 minutes or less, tell the audience what you do. Your words.
Yeah, in our words, I would say my dad's a dentist. My uncle, grandfather, and everybody has been like big small business owners in my lifetime growing up. I went to college to be a dentist. Got through basically dental school trying to help my dad's friends and other business owners we knew with their marketing because I was the young guy and I was always the person who loved Instagram and Facebook. So a lot of my parents' friends were like, "Hey, will you help us?" I started an app in college, told you like happy hours, food specials, and started trying to sell ads. Through that, I more or less found that a lot of these small business owners, just like my dad and all the family members I'd seen that had experience, they didn't know how to manage Facebook and make it leverage and help them. They didn't know how to make sure their website was like ranking well or how to utilize any of the internet more or less. Because at that point in time, it was like 10, 12 years ago. Basically, enterprise companies were using the internet. So my mission and goal since we started was like, how do we bring more or less like this enterprise solution of like digital marketing and put it on Main Street and provide it to like your day-to-day local business owners? Because it's a tool that they don't have to spend. Obviously, if you're competing for Google, you've got to spend a certain amount of money based on where you are. But say you're in Charleston and you're a plumber, you probably don't have to spend $25,000 a month. You probably spend $2,500 a month and get a little bit of like leg room. You can see some like traction happening. You can make some money and you can just reinvest and build your campaign. So really, we picked out small Main Street mom and pop style businesses, worked with them to bring them this like, high level, a lot of people down south would call like a New York agency approach, but really it was just like, let's just buy ads online. It's not that difficult. And then we were able to tie their spend back to what revenue and like dollars they made. And immediately it was like a light bulb went off. Oh my gosh, if I spend this, you can tell me my ROI. Well, I'm spending all this money on TV or radio or billboards. I'm going to give you a little bit more. And so I ended up not going to dental school and stuck with a path of like, let's help small business owners reach and achieve their goals by getting them online and improving their presence.
I love that. A couple of questions just popped into my head, but first off, is there still growth there?
Yes, there's definitely still growth there.
So riff on that for a minute. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, to expand a little bit in terms of your question, I want to make sure I understand the right way. In terms of opportunities for growth for the businesses themselves or from the agency perspective of the businesses?
Let's start with the businesses themselves and then let's talk about the agency. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I would say specifically, maybe we were a little bit slower down south. It's okay. we really industry by industry. There's like lawyers, for example. There might not be as much room to grow in the law firm as like space because a lot of them have learned and have adapted and gotten online. But it's still to this day, like for example, I think Melon Mushroom is a good case study locally. They're not a client of mine, but I know that we compete with them for a majority of our restaurant or hotel clients. They pretty much say, if you're looking for Chinese takeout, no one in like the upstate or no one in the South is really bidding on those keywords. So Melon Mushroom is not just bidding for the keyword pizza. They're bidding across, you look up ice cream. It's going to Melon, like, I want to drink, go to a brewery, Melon Mushroom come up. They don't care what kind of ethnicity food you're looking for. They're leaning in and just trying to advertise and win that keyword because no one's advertising on it. So you see these different, you might find like, if you want to call it like a blue ocean strategy versus a red ocean, right? You got all these people where everyone's beating each other up. It's kind of like you find these new blue ocean strategies based on industry. So we have healthcare clients that are like private practice dentists, like orthodontists. No one's really bidding on the by keyword braces or anything like that. It's crazy that you have these big, just open gaps in the market. And I've seen the door closes a little bit on Facebook and Instagram, right? Everybody's caught up there. They're like, okay, we need to be on social media. We need to be on social media, but you still have, for example, programmatic advertising streaming. If you watch YouTube TV in Greenville or in like even North Carolina or Florida or anywhere around here, unless you're in a major market like Atlanta or Charlotte, you're pretty much going to see a majority of the time that like, please wait, enjoy the silence because those ad spaces just haven't been bought. So you're basically like, you're bidding at a tenth of the cost because you're the only one bidding. The only mistake you can really make is come in and overbid because you're expecting there to be people in the market competing against the space. Whereas you can spend 10 cents on what should cost $1,000.
That is incredible. How are you finding the open gaps?
Yeah, what we do is basically we take our time and I do a lot of research in the very beginning, understand who their competitors are, understand who their customers are, make sure that like basically let's check all channels. But I mean, at the end of the day, we really kind of set it up as an experiment. I mean, I take my little bit of like biochemistry background, apply it into like the methodology of I simplify it for everybody and call it buckets. Okay, you have 3 or 4 buckets. Let's just spend, say, the similar amount of money in each bucket, run it for 90 days, and then have a decision after 90 days of, well, these 2 buckets didn't really work. We saw that these really got some good leads, and we can like basically reinvest after that 90-day period into which 1 or 2 channels actually were bringing in that high like return on investment. And the crazy thing is, you can get like a new customer for $10 on Facebook. You might get a new customer for $1 on Google. So it's like Facebook worked. But do I want to pay 10 times more? Like, I can see that same $10 on Google and get 10 customers, then I would get 1 on Facebook. So let's just go to Google. But really just run a data experiment for 90 days. And I always tell my customers, hey, look, we don't need to spend a ton to start out. Let's just take a minimal spend level. Let's get started. Let's get ourselves to an answer at the end of 90 days. And then we know where to spend money, where not to spend money. Pretty straightforward.
That is awesome. I love it. Just dumb it down for us too. And then obviously we got to pull our egos aside because as a small business owner, I'm probably like, I want to be a star on Facebook or Instagram, or I want my friends to see me or whatever that ego metric is. And you're like, you know what? Google's almost free right now. Can we do that? And people are like, no, no. You kind of have that battle a little bit, or
Yeah, that happens all the time. Even the ranking of, for example, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like LSAs or you basically like, it's like the Google guaranteed. If you say, if you type in plumber near me, you'll probably have a section at the top that comes up as a check mark. You click on that and call that person. It could cost like 60 to 90 bucks for that business for you to call them. And so many owners really are stuck on, I want to be in the top 5 right there. I'm like, if we scroll right down one section below, like pay-per-click campaign, it could cost us $3 for that same phone call versus an average of 47 to 65 or 85. You can get so many more phone calls by just not advertising that one section. Let's not go with LSAs. We don't need to go to Google Guaranteed right now. LSA stands for local service ad, but there's no real reason to go into that section if we can get so much more return on investment on this part. So at the end of the day, it's trying to like work with their ego though, because they get obsessed with like, I want to be first. I want to be first. I don't know. I can't tell you how many, like I've had some knockdown drag out fights with customers and I'm like, let's just do a simple math equation. You have $5,000. We're going to divide it by 80, divide it by 3. How many more people call us for we're like $3 per call versus $8 per phone call? We should like at the end of the day, it's not about like being first. It's about like maximizing our return and being efficient with our spend. If you have an unlimited budget and you're like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, sure, be at both places. But we're not, our customers aren't like that. So you can't be like that either, sir, unless you just want to like you said, I've always heard it called like a church pew buy. I don't know, that might be a Southern slang term of it, but it's like, you want to hear about yourself in your church pew. But the idea is that like the people who are in your church pew already know who you are and you don't need to advertise to them. It's not a matter of like, but a lot of times you want to go to church and you want the people to see, like, I saw your advertising this weekend. I saw you on TV. I saw you on the news. And really the answer is, but we don't actually need like those people already know you. Don't buy whatever TV station you watch and your friends watch. Buy the channel and station in town that someone else doesn't watch.
that is awesome. It's like the validation fix, We're like, give me the validation fix. Give me the validation fix.
Exactly.
The ROI is not so good on that, but
Yeah. I bet your neighbor in your church pew already buys from you. If he's going.
that is so good. So do you care about what locale? So where are you located now personally?
I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, but pretty much I would say not at all in terms of locale, where our customers come from and where they are. I mean, I will say because of like some of the stuff I was explaining here, that like these like small to mid-sized markets have been very great for us. So like take Atlanta, for example, we might want to go to like somewhere right outside of there, like Roswell, rather than go to like greater Atlanta. So we're like playing in like the fringe cities, like take Charlotte, we go to like Rock Hill. You take like Miami, like Florida, you might not take Miami, but you might take Fort Lauderdale. So the idea is like, okay, we're looking at these bigger cities and we're kind of hopping right outside of them and playing on their fringe where there's not as much like competition. For example, we're in Chicago right now. instead of fighting inside the loop, we're taking like clients that are right outside the loop. We're in New York. Okay, well, maybe we don't need to like battle in like the West Village, but maybe we'd love to try and get into like Brooklyn. Okay. Like there's a way and a time and a place to find these opportunities where it's like still green grass and green pasture. Of course, we
Mhm.
take customers in the big cities if you want to, but that's not really who I'm seeking out. I'd love to get into situations where like you're not competing with anybody. Let's go ahead and get you a head start. Let's start sprinting right now. And then that builds me a customer for a long time. Whereas you take someone who's like on Fifth Avenue, they're trying to drive traffic to their hotel. Like it's probably gonna be pretty competitive for what they're spending. You're probably gonna get price beat down in the next couple of years from some other agency coming in who can do it for cheaper. And then they like, I'm not looking for like a 2-year turnover. We're looking for like, I always say, I want to cheers in 10 years. How can we get a customer that we're gonna last 10 years with? And we've been blessed to have the opportunity. We've been in business now over 10 and I have customers that built me from the beginning. So
That's incredible. Would you say that, let's say in these smaller locales or small to mid-size, I think, so outside of your Atlantas and San Diego's or or New York, all the little suburbs, what have you, would you say it's still wide open as far as small business opportunity within what you do and how you can help them grow? Like I get the sense that it's like wide open, like Facebook is a bloody red ocean, right?
and it's like move now, like there's urgency to move, right? Because like if you like as they say, the early adopter is gonna be the one who like seizes the opportunity. And like let's be frank, Google and these like platforms are going to reward you for being, if they trust you, there is a time frame of how long I've been spending, how consistently I've been spending. They affects your quality score. And they're even transparent about that. That's why they don't want you to start and stop your ads, right? Because you can decrease your spend, just do not turn your ads off. There's a big no-no of like, it takes a lot to recover from like just halting your ad spend. So at the end of the day, like say, take a heating and air company. It might be 70 degrees outside. They're probably not going to get a lot of customers because they're looking for it to be hot or cold for something to break. Still just spend a little bit, spend like $5-10 a day, keep your stuff active. Don't lose the momentum and like early adoption piece that Google's gotten you. But yes, you're right. There is a huge wide open opportunity that a lot of business owners don't see right in front of them. And there's a lot of urgency they need to approach this with in terms of like, I should get on this thing now. Because if you don't, someone else is going to, and then you're going to be playing from behind. So my favorite customer is the one who's like the big gorilla in the market. Hey, like you're the biggest, oldest roofer let's call it whatever city, Texas, Houston. Okay, well, while your competitors aren't doing this right now, so while you still have the opportunity as the head start and you are the biggest player, well, you need to be the first mover and shaker, get on here, get your head start, get your lead. Like, don't let everybody catch up to you because if they find a more efficient way to spend money and they can get ahead to your customers in a cheaper way, you're going to lose market share. So like hold your market share. My favorite customer is the one who already has the market share. It's basically like my fire's burning. I need to put gas onto it and extend my lead. I'm like, let's do that. We love those people.
That is awesome. Let's say you bring in 10 new clients and or you go, all right, we're going to do the 90-day test. We're going to try these four, you know, media opportunities. How many people of those 10 will make it past the 90 days? Does that question make sense?
No, absolutely. And I would say totally that's a really good example of like something we try and talk to our customers about in the beginning. I I would say to answer your first question right out of the gate, pretty much like 8 to 10 of those are going to make it past the 90 days. The biggest question mark for me, and like whenever we start seeing these customers, is the people that fall out. And this is more or less on my sales team and us to make sure we're vetting them up front, as they can't handle leads. The people who fall out are the ones that don't have their call center set up. They're not established enough to like have this influx of leads that happens. So like typically the reason we have customers fall out in the 90-day period is because they're just too busy. Turn it off. We're not ready. Turn it off. So it's been interesting for us we always have to really assess the customer before we onboard them and start them. Because if you're going to get another 100 phone calls in the next 5 days, you have the staff to answer that. You have the staff to call them back, to quote them, to deliver the work. At the end of the day, and of course it might even be just an additional 25 calls, but depending on your industry or whatever you're doing, some people can't actually handle that new influx of business. And the worst thing we want to do is like spend our time making like commercials, making updates to your website, helping you with all your sales materials, coming in, onboarding you, making sure all omni-channel marketing and language set up across the platform. We get you rolling. We're 60 days in. And then you're like, dude, turn it off. I can't handle it. Like we have way too much going on. Like that is I mean, it's a good problem to have as a marketer, but it's also like, wow, that was really not a good use of our time. Like, we need to be more cautious of like, let's make sure we pick up customers that are going to actually be able to sustain and keep up with what all we have flowing in.
So then you can get a return on investment on your time, effort, team, whatever.
Exactly. We pretty much
Yeah.
have skin in the game too, right? Like you don't make money in 60 days. We've got that's
No,
why we the 10 years. Cause like it's a compounding business for us. We take a small percentage. The whole idea is we're really a media buyer. So we really need, we need you to have success and expand your budget for us to have success. So we really want you to win. But yeah, I would say to answer your question, sadly, the people that fall out are the ones who just like aren't ready.
that's incredible. That's awesome and amazing, which I think leads to the part two of the original question. Is there still growth opportunities? The clear answer is as far as you and your agency or people who want to grow an agency like yours, if you're able to deliver more leads than people know what to do with, generally speaking, like it sounds like it's still wide open on the agency side.
Yeah, I would say that worst part about from the agency side is you have so many people are now competing against agencies from subcontractors to freelancers to artificial intelligence. And part of me, like, we love artificial intelligence. I'm not going to sit here and say we don't use it. It definitely makes our jobs easier. It makes it more efficient. And in a sense, I think so many people get stuck in this time period of like, well, I might meet, let's call someone Angelica. They might meet Angelica. Angelica's like, hey, well, I can manage your social media for you. I can do your Google ads. And they meet this like utility player. And so like we're no longer like competing with agencies in terms of like customer acquisition. We're competing with a lot of, other people who can effectively do like a Swiss Army knife. I can do it all for you. And it's like hire me for $40,000-$50,000 a year, and then they take a little cut of everything that they do, and then and so it's made it more interesting as we've like gone to like through customer acquisition for us to like basically, and a lot of those people leave bad taste in their mouths. I would say most of the times now when we get no's during our sales process is sounds too good to be true. I've already been burned by this. Somebody else promised me under delivered, will never to go get us results. I'm not interested in doing it anymore. So we're kind of fighting this like mirage or like smoke and mirrors in the industry that has gotten us like kind of a bad reputation on the marketing agency like
Mm.
front of like it's not the most truthful. I mean, I saw a stat that came out the other day. Lobbyists, the least trusted industry expert. The second least trusted industry expert is a marketing professional. I said,
Oh my God. I'm sure I'm in that bucket too. Son of a gun.
I'm like, that is not. I saw like the one like right above us is like like the IRS agent. I'm like, he's more trusted than we are. Like, that's really not.
It is not good. That's not a good sign. Hey, so quick. That's incredible. So, all right, utility players. So, a utility player is acting like a general contractor and saying, "Give me $50,000," and then they're going to pull in a social media expert, or this expert, or that expert, and ads expert, and then they're going to get a little cut of it all, and it just isn't efficient. It's not effective. Is that what I heard you say? In effect?
Yeah, exactly. It's basically one person trying to piecemeal it together. Like, let me build you a Frankenstein. I can build you like a little mini marketing department that's like Frankenstein together. It'll function. It'll walk. Might not move like quickly. And
Fair
then a
enough.
lot of times they just like they will sign these people to like long-term contracts. So they'll sign up for like a year or two or three, and then they fight trying to get out of the contract. They don't have the exact results they're looking for. And I think sometimes people like come up with these like custom packages, like here's package A, B, or C, good, better, best. Which one would you like to do? They buy it. There's no testing that goes on. There's no shuffling of the budget. It's just like you come in, we pitch it, we run it, and this is what you get. And I think like in a sense, like that leaves people with a bad taste in their mouth. Like, for example, we always say in sales meetings, don't say the words SEO because everyone's had a bad experience with an SEO team. It's kind of happening that way now with media buying.
What do you out? How do you reframe SEO? What terminology are you using? Or
just say Google ranking.
Google
Like,
ranking? Okay.
yeah, like, are you
Yeah.
trying to rank higher on Google? That's just a lot of times they will say it for you. They're like, you mean SEO? I'm like, yeah, it's something along those lines. Like, we're trying not to. I'm not want to use that word because like there's a glossy eye and like fear comes out.
Oh my God. Yeah, kind of like that, but you're like, I'm unwilling to commit to that box. That's in, that's incredible. So talk to me about coaches, consultants, companies that have no geographical boundaries that are maybe doing things over Zoom calls, group coaching, stuff like that. You don't play in that space at all, or there's no opportunity there, or what?
I definitely think there's opportunity there. We just have not played in that space as much. I would say on a local level, we've definitely helped firms that are like consulting firms or accounting firms, but typically they have either an industry or a niche. I would say the one thing that we don't like to do is the person who's like, I'm a small business coach. And then there's like just, well, who's your customer? Well, anybody. So I would put it that way. If people know who their core customer is, then it is a much more effective, because the way we're going to do it is going to set up with, we need to know who your competitors are. We need to know who your customers are. We need to know where they live on the internet so we can find them and advertise to them.
Yeah,
Whereas where the coaching and consulting world is particularly like a one or two man shop, it's tougher because a lot of times they kind of take in whatever's coming in. And
yeah,
we typically are working more with like a firm. We try and set ourselves like a $2 or $3 million revenue, like minimum. And we prefer them to have a call center if they can. If they don't, it's okay. But at the end of the day, like how, if it's a one man show or one woman show, how are they going to like handle the influx of leads? It's just going to be tough. They're kind of
absolutely.
maxed out quickly, right? Like we bring like
Super
five,
quick.
10 customers. They're like, they got to hire their scale. They can't scale.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm thinking of I'll save it for another day. I'll save it for another day, or if we have time, we'll get to it. And I was just going to talk more about that avatar or that perfect client profile, or what is it like CPI client CI? Or there's so many different ways that people say it, but
Yeah.
I think what happens to a lot of small businesses or people that are trying to get out of the I'll help everyone, but dial in that avatar or that perfect client, there's sort of the esoteric, like I help heart-centered entrepreneurs. And you're like, well, that, yeah, that's a niche, but that is not going to serve in what you're trying to do. You need to be like white males who are 42, who are have been laid off or whatever it is, like, right? Like demographics. You're like, give me key demographics. Yes.
Correct. 100%. Like, for example, the people who come in, like a plumber, like you meet a guy who's a plumber and he's like, yeah, we want like anyone in this zip code. Where you're like, well, do you want the people who live in the like, house that's government housing, or do you want renters, or do you want homeowners, or do you want like luxury homeowners at $11 million plus homes? Are we looking for condominium buildings or apartment buildings? Like just because we want plumbers in like this zip code in the '05 area, I don't really know that's effectively going to tell us enough. Like we need to know who your core customer is. Thankfully, like these businesses that are big enough, as long as we get revenue access, a lot of times we come in and we can just be like, hey, where are your customers coming from? We can build your customer profile for you. Just give us your revenue and let's sit down and just go through this and figure out who your customer is. And for example, on our end, we say we have three H's: home services, healthcare, and hospitality. So like you said, like those are like the three industry niches that we're trying to pick up on ourselves. The three H's: home service, healthcare, and hospitality. So, I mean, of course you have broad like aspects that can go within those, but in a sense, they're all trying to really reach a home service. Is trying to reach a customer at home that owns a home that's particularly going to have a little bit of disposable income. Your private practice healthcare person, your plastic surgeon, your dentist, your dermatologist, any of those people typically looking for that same exact thing: disposable income, homeowner, most likely a family person, a high level of income. You get all the way down to like hospitality. They would like the higher, nicer restaurants or the nicer hotels or resorts. Those people are typically targeting that disposable income, higher income. So really, if you're like on a marketing nerdy level, we're really taking the same customer and then figuring out what they buy. So if you have like disposable income, you're a luxury customer, you like to go do travel, nice things, you have a home, you have family, where are you shopping and buying? We want to sell you that. That's kind of like, so we almost look at it from a customer first perspective, which is tougher to explain to a potential client for us. But at the end of the day, we're able to say, like, listen, we're selling to your customer 9 different things. Just be the 10th thing that we're selling to this customer, because they have the means to buy it. They're going to buy it. Whether they go to your dermatologist or they go to your plastic surgeon, they go to your office for their braces, they're going to all, these people who have this kind of money and wealth, they're going to buy this stuff. You just need to get in front of them.
That's awesome. Do you help ever with, why don't you create this product and let's sell it?
We have done that. Yes. Particularly in the luxury environment, it's like, I would say we've been more like spirit focused, like a lot of like tequilas, wines, like high end like beers, like stuff like that. That are like really like that more those kind of products that are still like lifestyle oriented have been really, 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 really strong for us. But even if you take like right now, we have a leash company that we're working with. and it's like a innovative leash. The guy patented a leash, and we're selling it. He like 3D prints everything, and basically it takes away your need for having a collar. I mean, it's expensive, and it is what it is. It's going to be like a certain customer that's going to buy this basically luxury collar.
So tell me, so let's talk about the leash collar, and then we can talk about Southern libations too, if you want. I'm just looking at your website as far as a case study. You said
Yeah,
something about the liquor or spirits, I think you called it, but
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So the leash company, that's nationwide, worldwide opportunity as far as sales are concerned, or no? Or do you go, yeah, that's true, but let's sell as many as we can in the suburbs of Atlanta first? Or how does that question make sense? Because
No, that definitely makes sense. And I would say just based on the price point of the leash, like, so the idea was that, like common people probably aren't going to buy this like $100+ leash. We should, we should sell this to people who's pampering their dog. So we went with like buying wet food, who's taking their dog to get like monthly. We need to like check credit card expenses and history. Who's taking their dog monthly to go like get, like manicured, pedicured, bathed, washed. Who's basically having their pets go to like a pet resort or an oasis rather than boarding their pet. Like, what are these like common denominators of people who like spoil their pets doing? What are their product? What are the other products those people are buying? Who's buying fancy dog bandanas? Who's buying a dog jacket or a shirt? Any types of like this. It's a little bit out of the box and like it's becoming more and more normalized to like basically treat your dog like a human. And basically anyone who's doing that with their dog is a good fit for this.
and so are you procuring Experian data, or are you getting Experian data, credit card data? Anyone listening
Exactly.
might be freaking out right now, like, wait a minute, you have access to this, or
Yeah, so your name would not be associated with it, right? Just your email address, your phone number, and then like your device ID. Of course, we can't individually target you individually, wink wink, through our ads, but we can ensure that we hit like say you have done 1,000 names or more, and then you can only hit a percentage of those people. So you can't guarantee you're going to hit 1,000 out of 1,000. You're going to hit 80-90% of the people out of the list. So say we export it from Experian, anybody who buys like wet dog food from like some famous like organic dog food brand, and then they also take their dog once a month to do to get their like manicure bathed. Okay, those people now they've fit into this one category. How many people fit in that? Okay, that's 5,000 people in this one area. Let's try and target those people based on who's bought something recently online, so we know they're comfortable shopping online. Perfect. Now we run our ads to those people. It ends up being 3,000 people. We know we get a 90%. Okay, so we're going to end up hitting around like, you do the math. And you can't guarantee like, okay, I hit Kenny, but we can say like I hit people who fit Kenny's mold all around it. And then the craziest part is once these people go to the internet, if they search or they're searching anything around these keywords, like say organic dog, we can use a program like called Six Sense. There's a couple other ones called like Pearl Driver. It'll give you their phone number and their email of the person who searched. Even if they never came to our website, the person who just went to the internet and searched, all that's being pre-populated back into a Go High Level campaign that's dripping them an email and a text message campaign. So as soon as these people hit the internet, they search organic dog food or like dog sweater, then we get their phone number, their email, it comes into our like leash campaign. Our leash campaigns texting and emailing them. You can even set up to do agents that will call, like they have the call agent. I have no offense to Go High Level. I haven't seen the best success with their calling yet. I think it needs to be a little bit like less robotic. If they're listening, sorry, didn't mean to be rude, but at the end of the day, like that, it's because you can automate that like lead generation of population from people searching. Now you can take those emails and you can run TV ads or like streaming ads. You can run programmatic ads. You can run Facebook ads from that same audience. So your audience is like always growing based on the information of the keywords of who's Googling and whatever. After you use the credit card data to begin, it's nuts. And then whoever buys, you just take that and you pre-populate and you use a lookalike audience. Like, okay, you bought. Now let's take him. Let's put his email in there. Let's see what happens and goes through and find people who look like him. And it's like, well, he has these subscriptions and he has this many kids and this is the type of dog he has. Okay, who else has that many kids and dogs and subscriptions? Boom. Okay, there's another 150 people like him in the area. Let's move them into our audience. It's crazy.
my gosh, so the would you say you're an expert? And well, obviously you're an expert, but you just leveled up on what can be done, like anybody listening, watching, hopefully is going, oh my God, right? So what, 3%, 2% of the world kind of are playing in that space that you're playing in. Maybe, I mean, it's a tiny, would you
The
say,
crazy part is like the top 500 brands in the country, almost all of them are playing this. You know, you call the S&P 500. I think I saw the other day that 98% of them have this campaign going on. The idea is that like your local businesses just don't realize that this is even a possibility.
it's incredible. Would you say you're at the top of the knowledge? Like you are on the bleeding edge of what's going on in this space? Does that make sense? That question makes sense?
I would say I'm like on this. I'm like one step below it. A lot of my friends live in New York, and a lot of them are in this agency world space, and they're probably like top 1%. I'd say I'm probably like top 3 to 5%. Like I'm like hearing about it from them like first. Like okay, this guy's like discovering it, and then he's basically we're all in group chats and on emails and like learning. And by the time I'm hearing of it, I'm like hearing of it from like a YouTube video that someone else saw though, right? Somebody else made that
Yeah.
YouTube in the beginning, so there are like those like thought like cusping edge, cutting edge guys. I just want to be the one who like lets them do a little bit of the preliminary research, improves the method and process. Sometimes this stuff also scares me because of like the like legality perspective of it. So I'm kind of like, let's let some people play in the sandbox for a little bit before we really dip our toes in there because I want to make sure that like there's not going to be like slap on the wrist situations that happens for this type of technology. Like I heard of Pearl Driver like 8 months ago. I mean, we started using like 8 months ago, but I heard it probably about 2 years ago, and I was like, let's see how that seems illegal. Like, let's see that that thing actually stays online. Because what you don't want to do is like bring it to your customer and then 2 months later come back and be like, that's illegal. Now we can't use it. So like,
Yeah.
I'm like, a lot of times it's more like you hear something, you kind of like watch from afar before you're like, I don't want to get burned up by that. But what's going on over there? Who's using that? My friends in New York like will push the boundaries. They're like, let's go, let's go. And I'm like, how's it going over there? You ain't got any letters from anybody, have you?
Has the FBI come knocking on your door yet? You know?
Exactly.
Or and improving functionality too. That's the other thing. By the time it gets down to you, you're like, yeah, it's legal, and all right, now we know the actual cost of it, so we can execute on
Exactly.
it.
And we can actually apply it a little bit better rather than just like testing and being a guinea pig. Like I don't know, like I'm like somebody else can guinea pig. We want to be like if you call it like the vaccine methodology, we don't want to be the rats. We want to be the people who like once the vaccine's been approved, it feels quickly approved, which I think we touched on a sensitive subject.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. What was I going to go with this? So, oh, I was just struck by where you came from and where you are today. So you're like, yeah, I was going to dental school and started playing and dabbling in social media. I think you even said you created an app or something like that. Did I hear you say
Yeah,
that?
creating an app. Yeah, it was like City Guide app. Told you like happy hours, food specials, concerts, the things you care about when you're in college. You know, like where can I get
Yeah.
cheap things, beer, food, burgers, and like go listen to music.
Did you monetize that or sell it or
Yeah, I sold it. Really making money from
oh,
it. I've definitely like overall we lost money, but gave me the idea for this, so we take it as a win.
amazing. And so to where you are now, like when you started your agency, Ridge Media, anybody watching, listening can go to ridgemediallc.com. Is that the best place to send people? Ridgemediallc.com?
Yeah, that's the best place. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, like, did you have this vision of what you're doing now? Or are you like, oh my gosh, I'm listening in an amazement to where you were to where you are now. Do you ever reflect on that?
Sometimes I'm just like a hyper nerd. I would say is the easiest way of it. And I don't really do like anything lightly. I'm like I'm gonna go 110% into this. And part of that is I think being like a biochemistry major, and so much of this is like data analytics and like scientific experimentation. It sounds weird to say out loud, but it's really like this is a science experiment that's playing out right in our real lives. And so I think I just took that kind of like biochemistry undergrad like methodology of like test, experiment, change, control variables, uncontrol variables. How can you like get a result? How can you make the result predictable? When does it actually become predictable? Like, you know, how many times do you have to think over and over and over again to it becomes like a theory? And then now I'm like, okay, let's establish a theory. Let's try to like apply it to other industries or knowledges. And so in a sense, I would say to look back on it sometimes is like, I can't believe number one, what you can do with this stuff. And then number two, that we've like discovered this somehow. But at the same time, it's not that shocking because I'm like, I'm overtly a nerd. Like I'm actually like, I'm trying my best to keep this like translatable to where someone listening is not like, what is he talking about? And sometimes I can get there. So I might've done that today. I apologize if I have. I do. I will say like, it is kind of crazy how far we've come. I think I could be sucking spit right now. My dad is always like, I'm like, he's like, it was a spitty day. And I'm like, I'm like instead, I am not doing that. So thank God I'm not. If you look at it like that, I'm like, yeah, I'm mind blown at where.
That is awesome. Hey, I think you've done a good job of balancing like techno babble and keeping it real for us. Kind of, going up and then coming back down, keeping putting us on that roller coaster.
I
So
appreciate that.
that's good. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years?
In 3 to 5 years, I would say I see me personally in more of a situation of like a thought leader and like a person who's going and speaking and doing a lot more speaking tours. This year, I've picked up a lot more opportunities to go and be in public. I'm going in March to Louisville to Associated Lodging Professionals. I'm going to Greece in May, speaking at another place in Vegas in July. At the end of the day, if I keep just getting these speaking engagements and I become more and more of like a thought leader and like a thought expert, I kind of like that's where I envision myself going personally. And then I think part of that is the business will follow. I had this temptation, in like the last couple of years of like, okay, do we abandon our original principle and like goal of bringing this enterprise level of like knowledge to Main Street? Do we just kind of say, it's okay, it's time to go to corporate? And I'm not gonna lie, we dabbled a little bit. We picked up a couple of bigger corporate clients, learned that is definitely not where we want to be. So if I could project out where the company falls behind with me coming there, I would like the idea of like maybe getting to being on like a larger scale, like say someone who's like, instead of an individual hotel owner, they own 5 to 6 to 7 hotels. So they're like still staying small business, but staying under that like 50 to $100 million mark. I'm not ever looking to go to the corporate, no one publicly traded. I like to deal with the owner. I like to see whenever we have success, his life change or her life change. And it's just basically just like kind of leveling up in terms of our clientele from like maybe like, for example, recently we picked up a dentist office that has 21 dental offices rather than like 2 dental offices. So there's a place to still like, he's still privately owned, still owned by a local dentist in Chicago. But the idea is like, okay, that's more of the customer we need to be talking to rather than my dad, no offense to him, who has 1 dental office. It's like, there's a ton of place to be small business without going to like work for Aspen Dental.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Then you've got the utility players that can do the backfill for you. As you start scaling up a little bit, the utility players can come in and
Exactly. Yeah, there's room for everybody in the market.
there is room for everybody. Um, so you're doing, it sounds like you're speaking on live stages. You said you're going to a couple of places. Are these organically coming to you, or are you doing campaigns, outreach campaigns to get on these live stages, or?
This year, all 3 of these came organically. I've yet to really try and dive in and start seeking opportunities to speak. The one that happened in March, I more or less raised my hand and asked a question at a conference, and apparently asked like a loaded question, got me recognized. And someone at that conference was like, "Hey, you need to sit on a panel. That was a really good question." And she was like, "Sit on my panel with me." So then I went to the next conference, sat on the panel. Someone else in the audience heard me, and that's how I got to Greece. She was like, "Hey, we need to come speak in Greece. I'm like the chair of a committee for a board. I mean, for an event there. You should come." So then I'm going to that one, and then the one in Vegas was totally just parlayed off that. Right, just someone else heard me at another conference talking on a panel. Basically, long story short, so far I've gotten there by basically talking.
So let me ask you a question. What is it that you're talking about, or how are you talking about it where people are going, we need you on our panel, we need you involved speaking to our people?
It's funny because like the first one that really kind of started the whole like getting me asked was a total leadership question. It was somebody was really trying to talk through like thought leadership in terms of their like agency and how do they like create motivation for people who like basically may have like a non-sexy client. Like like how do I really get engaged to try and help this like heating and air expert try and sell his maintenance agreement? And I basically just laid out a couple situations in our office of like things we've done to engage, and then said like, hey, go try anything like this for like, for example, like, you just gotta like get your hands dirty, like go like send your staff to go out there and get on the roof of the HVAC company, send them underneath the house. They're sitting in their office. They don't know what the heck you're talking about. A lot of people don't even like, they're not even going to look at their unit when the guy comes in service. So like, and I think a lot of it's just personal relationships. Once you spend some time on the job site with these people, they get a little bit more jived up. They begin to get a little more invested because it's not about what they're marketing, it's who they're marketing it for. And so my whole thing was like, in terms of like stemming creativity, a lot of it's just like you got to put them in person, on site, even if it costs you extra. It's going to get you better results in the long time. And then I basically kind of the people who were talking about leadership, they were working all remote. I was kind of just grilling them a little bit of like, maybe you're losing a little bit of creative touch and push by like not having everyone together. So like we're together right now, but right, it's tough to like stem such creativity, especially consistently. We might do a couple of months in a row. Like we're going to still be marketing about the HVAC heating and air maintenance agreement 3 years from now, month to month, social media calendar wise. It's going to be hard if we're not ever meeting in person and like sharing ideas and like ideating and going and seeing job sites. Like if we go every quarter to a job site, I'm probably going to have better ideas. Basically just ask a really like deep question about like, kind of grilled the guy a little bit about why he wasn't like, didn't want everybody to come into office. And they're like, I guess through that, the same thing. Next time I just asked a really long, nice, deep question. I mean, like sometimes they say the best questions are like the best marketing and advertising you can do for yourself, right? Especially at a conference.
Yeah, it's good. I Yeah, it's good. As far as to the remote work, it's a quality answer on why perhaps we all shouldn't be all remote working all the time, other than, I want to have control over you, is refreshing. So people are probably like, oh, that's a nice lens to look through coming into the office, or however you framed it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
exactly. We do have like the flexibility to work. It's not like we're like you have to work here every day. We do like I think we do a work from home 1 day a week for everybody,
Yeah.
and that way everybody gets a chance. Pick your day. Can't do it on Fridays because we all know what would happen if everybody did it on Friday.
Golf course, early
Yeah,
beers, whatever it is,
exactly.
cigars come out. You're like, it's
Yeah.
10 a.m. It's too early for a cigar on Friday.
We do have a bar in the office, but you got to wait till after.
Yes. Um, who are you trying to hire, and what are your gaps in your company?
The hardest thing is the funniest thing to think of, given like that it's something we do all the time. Copy. Finding a good copywriter is so difficult. I think part of it is now you have chat GPT, so like your talented people don't like want to get into this involved in this copywriting world. It's not really sexy to be a copywriter. It's much better to be like a photographer or a designer or like do all this stuff. Whereas even web developers are much easier to find. Like solid copy is basically the foundation of your campaign though. Like we can get your ad in front of the people. We just talked about how we can get your TV commercial right in front of these people. We just talked about how, but what is it saying? How do we effectively manage that like omni-channel marketing message in a clean, concise way? And that's a lost art. It's crazy that no copy is not but everyone writes. Everyone took English growing up. Everyone speaks and writes every day. Maybe texting's made us all worse at talking and writing them.
I know, right? But well, so let me ask you a question. So that is extremely surprising to me that that is your answer. Wow, it's a lost art. AI is affecting it. How is AI? AI is not. It's hindering instead of helping, and or
I think it just makes people deterred from like going into the profession. They're like, oh, well, there's like so some of the copywriters I knew whenever it kind of like some of the guys we had worked with or women that we'd worked with, like they were like they kind of chose a new career path because they felt like, oh, well, our industry is kind of going away. ChatGPT has come in, these other AI tools have come in that can help people write. Like we're not as like needed, so they go get a different like they become account executives or become a sales rep instead of sticking with their copywriting. And I do think that there's a knee-jerk reaction from every agency owner possible to just cut copywriting. Right now, we can do our own copywriting. That's just it did like kind of just boom shock the market, and now you're seeing like there's just not a lot of copywriters left, and the good ones who
wow,
are charging premiums. Like $250, $300 an hour.
wow. It's interesting too. I feel like I've said this to people before about AI or Chat GPT, or however you're using AI to generate your copy. I feel like it's all pushes you to the center. It's
Yeah,
milk toast, and people inevitably go, "Yeah, well, you can tell it to be this or that, or what tone to take." And I'm still, it's like it all ends up milk toast. It feels like to me.
yeah, it's all simple. You're not. How are you going to stand out if you're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing?
Yeah, and you can't. I mean, you can try and force AI to to be different than everybody else, but I don't think it has the
And it's
capacity to yet.
feeding off of what else has been written in the past, right? Like it's learning from what's been written in the past. So it's not going to really write anything that's like novel or new or innovative. It's going to kind of use what's been written before and just like put a new spin on it. So
Yeah.
like, it's more like the American capitalistic nature of copywriting. Like, okay, something's been done. We're just going to make it a little bit better. But like at the end of the day, copywriting's got to be, don't make it better. It's got to be like organically unique and like original.
Yeah, it's good. I think good copywriters are probably utilizing AI as well. Maybe they create their to generate ideas or iterate or things like that. But I'm just speaking out loud. I'm thinking,
You're definitely probably not wrong there, but I'm sure they're utilizing it in some aspect. And if, for example, one of the copywriters we work with, he uses like for writing SEO, he'll use an SEO grader to give him feedback, which is AI. The AI
yeah,
will like fit back at him. You didn't use this keyword enough. You need to use this keyword more. It wasn't high enough in the, tell him where to move around the paragraph. Like you said, he's using AI tools. He's just not letting it write for him.
yeah. Tell me about bots, bots. You helping people integrate bots? Are you working bots into? And I'm thinking of like your roofer that has his site, and so maybe you put a bot in there that can drive somebody to an application or a phone call or answer questions. Or I'll shut up now.
Yeah, there's like I would say bots are what we're currently doing. There's the new agents, the AI agents, which is really like a crypto space thing, right? He's like basically you can have an AI agent. I have one right now that buys every time Bitcoin goes below something. Anytime Bitcoin goes above something, it automatically sells. So I'm just like basically kind of trying to make sure I don't lose all my money, but I'm also trying to take a little profit off the table. They be like, you just talk to this agent, and the agent it's effectively an AI agent, and it just does and places the orders on my behalf. Like I can put this phone call, I check it, and it's placed 3 or 4 orders for different stuff. But at the end of the day, like say we're like trying to get your social media to really, you can hire an agent to go out there and tell it, hey, I want to comment 100 times on different people's posts. I want to I want to send this many number of DMs. So you can do these like agents that will like go and perform internet activity level tasks. That's kind of the future. The bots that you're talking about, the chat bots and those things are definitely helpful, but the future is this AI agent. And if you can we're just now like getting into it and trying to figure out how to best leverage them. Of course, your low hanging fruits, like what I talked about, just trying to create engagement, if you will. But there's so much other ways to apply this level of like, now you have basically a virtual assistant that isn't a person that you can kind of coach and teach to talk and walk like you. And for example, there's one for an email campaign we have called Superhuman. Our team's testing it out right now. I don't know if I love it or not, so I'm not going to we're 10 days into our trial, but the whole principal idea of it is that it will literally, somebody emails me and say, you're like, hey, when can you meet for this podcast? It will send back instead of a Calendly. It will look at my calendar. It would pre-write a rough draft, send over the dates that are available. And then basically all I do is log into my email. My email is already pre-written for me. All I have to do is make sure it sounds good and press send. It's taking in the email, pre-writing it for me, and then leaving it as a rough draft, which is insane. And it learns how you talk the whole time. So eventually, like as customers come in with more intense questions, it learns how to respond to those. Sales leads comes in, preemptively learns how to respond to those. Having these agents is going to be like basically free workers or employees. It's insane.
That is awesome. Tell me the agent that I'm just taking notes here. So I'm just typing agents, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. So what was the agent, the email agent that you said?
6 cent is the one that I really like. It's just the letter 6 and then cents.
And it's pre-writing your
Yeah. Oh no, Superhuman is the one that's pre-writing on my email responses. 6 cents is the one that's basically like, it's kind of like an agent that's going out and like writing on everyone's page and doing all the activity. It's like a marketing and sales assistant agent. The one
Love
that
it.
Superhuman is basically like automating your email inbox and how it flows.
That is amazing engagement. Okay, awesome. Well, you pretty much answered the AI question. Agents is where that's going. I try to keep up on all that. I love there's This Day in AI podcast. I'm not sure if you've listened to that one. A couple of guys are super fun, but which any favorite podcasts that you listen to for your AI content or market recon?
Yeah, not so much like on YouTube. I'm more of like a YouTube guy for my like marketing research kind of guy. But I would say in terms of I love Guy Raz, How I Built This. That's probably my favorite podcast. It's just inspirational hearing these people like start a multi-million dollar like Tate's pita chips. I don't know if you're like, or Tate's cookies, or like the pita chip company that like started like in their house in New York. Like, and then they ended up taking their bedroom and like putting an oven in there. I don't know if you've ever heard that story. It's nuts. And like they literally like they basically made a multi-million dollar baking company in their homes. Both people, the pita chips and the cookies. And they started it literally like just like they ran out of room in their apartments. So they just like would sleep in their kitchen on a cot, and like the rest of the house be full of ovens. I'm like, and they were selling it like out of a food truck outside of their job, or like on fall and FiDi, like for during lunch hour. It's insane. Like people just make money like crazy ways, and you
It's
just hear
crazy.
about like doors open and like things happen. It's just inspirational. Like you listen to those, you're like, I mean, they struck gold, but like, they worked really hard and they had a good idea, but like they just had to go the right way for like some of the stuff to go take off the way it did.
Yeah, the way the dominoes fell, and they responded and took action accordingly.
Exactly. Like the butterfly effect. Your actions, like yes or no, have consequences. Like, and you like watch your ripple effect of which decision you say yes or no to happen.
Yeah. In a previous life, I was a loan officer for 15 years, retail home loan officer. And I did at the time what were big loan amounts. I have no idea what loan amounts are now, but average of like 750,000 or $1 million home loan amount. So a lot of small business owners, right? And I was always, my favorite part was like, what do you do for a living? And just to hear people's niches and what they're doing. And like, it's mind boggling how people make money out there. It is really incredible, right?
Crazy, yeah. I mean, I met somebody recently. The guy he invented the valet tag. Like, you go check your keys in the valet. That little tag that you put on there, he invented the valet tag, right? And the only reason he invented the valet tag was because he was working as a valet, couldn't keep up with the freaking keys, and he invented it as like an 18 or 19-year-old, got the patent. Long story short, now he works at BMW, or he contracts to BMW, and those same tags have RFID tags in them now, and it's how they keep up with all their parts at BMW. So he started this business that has made him very affluent by making valet tags. And now he's like, I'm like, and they're like, so BMW's your customer? And he's like, yeah, like we have like basically now they can follow the whole charting of their entire manufacturing process, part by part, because it has an RFID chip in it, and the tag just sits on there. All they do is unclip the tag at the end, and they take it out. Part's done. Doesn't affect the part at all. I'm like, I mean, genius, but the application of your idea is going from a valet tag RFID tracking inside of one of the world's largest automobile manufacturers is wild.
Wild. God. Oh, that's incredible. So let's say you stumble across, I have a 22-year-old son, and you bump into him and he's like, all right, what opportunity should I jump into now?
I
Answer
would
that
tell him,
question for him. Yeah, go ahead.
that's funny. I speak at College of Charleston a lot. That's where I graduated from. I go back and talk their entrepreneurship course. And I'm always like, look, dude, just start something, get online, learn how to market, learn how to sell. It doesn't matter if it's what works, and it doesn't matter if it ever makes money, but if you like it, number one, you're always going to be selling something, whether it's yourself or another product or service. Even if it's a job interview, you are selling you effectively. But you need to learn how to, number one, sell. You should, number one, learn what it's like to own a small business, because you'll learn so many more like real life applications in terms of how to borrow money, how to pay things. I'm like, I don't care if you're just cutting grass on the street or like actually just doing something small, but there's like ways to make money. And like, go ahead, make you an LLC, an accountant, learn the benefits of being a business owner, because at 22, you have no idea how much of a head start you can get right now if you just go ahead and start like leveraging the benefits. Like, say if you get a job, tell the guy, hey, I don't want to take a W-2. I want you to get paid me a 1099. I want to deduct my mileage. I want to deduct part of my home office. I want to work for myself. Just those pieces alone, you just don't realize how many opportunities if you start at 22, by the time you're 32, 35, 42, I think about all the little nuances you learn by running your own company. It's insane. And all that's applicable to everything else in life. Plus, it makes you more relatable with everybody. And it gives you a huge tax advantage. So, I mean, my big piece would be like, start a company, get an LLC started, try and sell something, learn how to grow and be an active individual on your own. Because I mean, you can always go get a job. I'm not talking about just doing full time. Like, you could go get a job and do this as a part time opportunity. Go work at the farmer's market, sell some like cheeses, import something. Yeah, like there's ways to make money without spending a ton of money. You just need to go ahead and try and figure out what they are. Like, There's many like case studies of like people who start one little thing and then it parlays them into the idea that makes the $1,000,000, right? So don't think too hard. Find something, get started, try and make money.
Start learning, test and try.
Yeah.
I love it. RidgeMediaLLC.com. RidgeMediaLLC.com. Kenneth, this has been awesome. I want to hit stop here. I want to be cognizant of time. But before I hit stop, is there anything that's coming to your mind of like, oh, I wished I said, I want to say? So before I hit stop, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say just to finish that note off, like one of the favorite things I've always heard is like, don't be afraid to fail. Fail hard, fail fast, fail often. Just try not to fail 3 times. It's like that's my end all be all for everybody. Just don't be too hesitant. Just learn how to fail fast, fail hard, fail often. Just try not to fail 3 times. That's it.
Awesome, Kenneth. Love it. I'm going to hit stop. We'll say goodbye offline.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Cable Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.